The idea for the topic was sparked by the recent decision of ArtStation to remove the cumulative likes and views counter on an artist's profile. And it seemed to have stirred quite a bit of controversy and a lot of different responses. So we've decided to ask our panel on which side of the fence that they sit on. And we asked them the question, how do you feel about the removal of cumulative likes and views counter on ArtStation profiles?
The removal of likes or whatever on ArtStation, I didn't even notice. I didn't know this was even a thing until I saw a bunch of people going back and forth about it on Facebook. And I'm like, you know, what's going on here? It's just something I never looked at, not on that particular platform, and it's nothing I cared about. I can see how some people may use them to just gauge how well an image of theirs is doing, or if they need to make X amount of prints of something based on its popularity. Maybe I can see the value in it, but it's just something I'm not caught up in.
I think I would appreciate it more if the main reason of removing the like and view number is to make the client or industry choose portfolios based on what they prefer aesthetically and visually, not based on numbers associated with the piece. But I do find it kind of sad that they have to remove it just for an attempt to lessen the toxicity of the site. That just goes to show you that some people don't have much self-control over this stuff.
I'm indifferent, mainly because I kind of like detached myself from that long ago. So this is just like from my experience and point of view. So I guess from the beginning it does matter because people will inherently refer to numbers as a sign that they're doing good. The higher the better, that type of thing. But I can see why it's a good thing to a lot of people because I feel like it becomes a competition at some point. And some people will view it that way whether you like it or not. But I guess like it does put a lot of people's mind at ease, so I feel like it's mostly a positive change that they implemented there.
Personally, this has never been a problem for me. Like I said, my mind will compare numbers subconsciously, but then I have the understanding that a lot of that stuff just doesn't matter, and it's not something to really pay attention to. It's always nice to know that you're getting a lot of followers, but it should never be used as a reflection of your value as an artist. In this case specifically though, those numbers never really had a bearing in the first place because artists will always take things out of their portfolio, add new things to that portfolio. So cumulative likes doesn't make sense as a measurement of that artist because people may aim for a very tidy portfolio of just 6 to 10 pieces, which will naturally get fewer cumulative likes than something else, where they've just kept all the artwork they've ever posted right from many years back, art which they would potentially deem not good enough or up to their standards now.
So one thing I actually would like to try out, Ken, for this question is, first of all, just asking the chat, which one of the artists on the panel do you agree the most in regards to the decision of ArtStation to remove their cumulative likes and views counter? I think it would be interesting just to know, what opinions people have, or maybe even something completely new. What about yourself, Ken? Which one would you say you relate to the most?
I think all of them. I kind of relate to all of them, bit by bit. For me, I don't really care if they remove it because nowadays I don't really see that numbers anymore. I used to compare the number, my own number with other people, but not anymore. So I think it might help in the long run. It might help people focus more on their growth instead of comparing themselves to other people. But then again, it will depend on the individual. What about you?
Well, I would say that, I would say that there's bits and pieces that I agree with the most, but somehow what Rika said, I think resonated with me the most, where I would appreciate it if they actually removed the counters to purely base it on aesthetics. So in other words, I think to just follow through on their logic that metrics in general is not a good thing. But I feel like their attempt at removing these counters feel rather half-hearted, because a lot of these artists on the panel don't even notice it in the first place. And I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I never looked at the likes, cumulative likes and views counter on my page. And honestly speaking, and I think we're going to touch upon this in the other question, but I do think that artists are just going to find different ways to compare themselves, such as the individual likes on the artworks or the number of followers that people have. And honestly speaking, I do think that the responsibility lies on the individual. It's not up to ArtStation, as much as I understand why they feel the need to do it, especially if they have been receiving messages from others and being on the receiving end on the toxicity. I can see why they would have removed it, especially if they're numbers that are kind of superfluous, just to kind of not have to worry about it. But I do think a more powerful message would be to say, guys, don't look at the numbers. It's really not important. Your value as an artist should be dictated by something else that's much more stronger and durable. So rather than seeking validation externally, why not try to seek it internally where no one else can get to, for example?
Right. I think what Tisiki said about it doesn't make sense as a measurement, because some artists may keep tidying their own portfolio, so they remove old works, so then their numbers go down because they remove their old works. So it's quite useless in a sense, because it doesn't really say much about the value of you as an artist.
Just imagine that, like,
it's just a number.
If it is based on cumulative views and likes, can you actually imagine companies going on ArtStation and just going on profiles? Let's just see which artist on this on ArtStation has the most cumulative likes and views on their profile. We're gonna hire that guy for sure.
In that case, people making fan art with like sexy girls or NSFW work will just rise to the top. They'll just be the ones getting hired. What about guys
that like constantly spam artwork, you know, just getting bits and bits of artwork, versus one guy that only puts up one really good piece? Does that mean that the guy that's constantly posting and spamming is a better artist? It isn't. And I agree completely. It doesn't make sense. So I think it's ridiculous that people are basing their worth as an artist on these metrics, and ArtStation should have just told them to, it should have just given them a big slap and a dose of reality, in my opinion. But I understand that that's not the most PR friendly thing to do. And
you can swear, Jourdan.
No, I wasn't planning to. But all I'll say is that I can understand why they did it. They're useless numbers in the first place anyways. And you guys might notice on ArtStation, you'll find that there's something that says follows you. If an artist follows you on their, if an artist follows you at the bottom of their header on their profile. And that to me gives me more anxiety than the cumulative likes and views ever had.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, I'm following you. I keep messaging you, but you never follow me.
I keep on complimenting you. You clearly have seen my comment, but you're not following me. Come on.
Notice me, senpai.
Yeah, notice me, please. See, that to me, I think, is a worse move that gives me personally more anxiety than all of those other counters.
I think we can move on to the next question.
We'll go more in depth.
Kind of touches upon the next question about
for sure.
alternatives or suggestions.